You're listening to WVT FM 90.7 Blacksburg. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Hokie Weather Watch Live on WVT 90.7 FM Blacksburg. So, for those of you that don't know, Hokie Weather Watch Live is a radio talk show geared towards the only thing that impacts us all: the weather, the science, the communication, or even the top pop culture influences that the weather brings to our daily lives. We're going to touch on it all. So, thanks for tuning it in. It's time to get to our panelists. Again, somebody new every single week. Why don't you start us off, Aaron?
How's it going, guys? My name's Aaron. I am the head meteorology person in charge of Hokie Weather Watch, and this is my fourth show.
I think this is number 5 overall. Is
Number
that
5
right?
overall, 4th show.
So this is number 3 or
All
4
right.
for you.
Yeah, 4, I think.
4. Okay.
All right.
Okay. For the question of the day, what was the last state you visited and why? Other than Virginia. Can't use Virginia. It's cop out.
Man, I haven't been traveling too much. I
Got all
think
that
the
schoolwork,
last
man.
time I did anything was I did anything at all. Exited Virginia State. I was on the Hokie Storm Chase over the summer.
Okay.
And went through 14 states.
14.
Yeah.
So you win,
I
basically.
did, yeah. I just kept going.
What's up, Zach?
So, my name is Zach. I'm a senior meteorologist here at Virginia Tech. This is my third?
Third? Yeah.
This is my
number
third
3.
show, so I guess I'm not a guest anymore,
Hey.
really.
You're part of the family, man.
You're just working your way into becoming a panelist, aren't you?
Yeah, but
It's Jamie's fault.
the last state I was at was not as exciting as Aaron, but North Carolina over the summer. I lived
Okay.
there for my internship.
Gotcha. Where'd you intern?
I interned at NCEI with NASA Develop.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then we're super excited to have Phil Hysell with us here today. Phil, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Phil Hysell. I'm the Warning Coordination Meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Blacksburg. So I'm the person at the Weather Service that gets to conduct most of the interviews, interact with our core partners, emergency managers, broadcast media, and oversee our weather preparedness program.
Okay. And get to be on our show today,
Yes.
which is a lot of fun. We're super honored to have you. And I am Nick Gilmore. Oh, what was the last state you visited? Sorry.
Oh, that's let's see. About 3 weeks ago, I was in North Carolina to have my car service.
Okay. And this car is kind of special. You were telling us a little bit about it before the show. What's so special about this car?
Yeah, this is, believe it or not, actually won a car in a sweepstakes.
Okay.
It was a Mini Cooper convertible, and the nearest dealership was down in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So I went there to get it, and I go there to have it serviced occasionally.
So you won this car. You always see those sweepstakes, and you're just like, there's no way that's real. But living proof right here in the studio with us right now is that sweepstakes are real. It's a thing. So
It's crazy.
It can happen.
it can happen to you.
That drive is well worth it going down in a winning car.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's great to have you, Phil.
Thank you.
I'm Nick Gilmore. I'm a 2015 Virginia Tech meteorology grad. One of the founding members of Hokie Weather Watch. I currently work for WVTF Public Radio. I love communication meteorology. The last state that I went to was this summer. I went to Florida to Disney World. So
That's fun.
it's where dreams come true. So now that we got that out of the way, well, actually, Phil, I want to talk to you a little bit. Since we're kind of doing introductions, I've asked everybody else that's been on the show so far, what was the thing that got you into meteorology? I always love hearing people's stories. Why meteorology? What got you in?
Well, and this is the case you find, I think, with most meteorologists. There was one event early in life
Exactly.
that really grabbed your attention for meteorology, and this will date me, but I will never forget April 3rd, 1974, the super tornado outbreak. I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky,
Okay.
and, of course, that day there were over, I think, 30 EF4 and EF5 tornadoes in that outbreak, and, of course, one of the EF4s moved through Louisville, and we were very close to that tornado, and I just remember as a young child being absolutely fascinated by that event, and ever since that point, I was fascinated with weather, and I always wanted to be a meteorologist. Even in middle school and high school, my homeroom teachers would have me give the weather forecast, which was great. So that's how I got interested
Okay.
in meteorology.
Very, very cool. Okay, we have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about, my script says fall foliage, but I don't know if that's what we're talking about. Spoiler alert, maybe next week. But we're going to be talking about NOAA's winter weather outlook, how that compares to the Farmer's Almanac and their winter outlook. probably not going to be too accurate, but we'll get into that. We're going to talk about some fall and winter hazards here in Blacksburg. And then finally, we're going to talk about the National Weather Service's Open House that's coming up here soon. So big show for you today. Obviously, we want to hear from you. So, Zach, can you tell them how to do that at home?
Yeah, you can find us at HWWLive on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to join the conversation today, you can use the hashtag HokiWX to ask Phil any questions or even us.
Even us. So if you have any questions, be sure to hit us up throughout the rest of the show. We'll have somebody watching that hashtag for sure. Okay, so first things first. The NOAA Winter Weather Outlook came out this week. Is that correct?
Yes, I think it came out on the 20th.
Okay. And it's basically gives us a heads up of what we can expect this winter all across the country. So, for example, precipitation, it looks like from Nebraska northward, wetter conditions than average for precipitation, and then the southern half of the United States will be a little bit drier, according to this outlook. And then for temperature, kind of the same thing. The Dakotas are going to be cooler. The bottom half of the United States warmer as well, and then New England as well. So, Phil, on the winter outlook, what goes into a forecast like this? As a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, what goes into making a forecast like this?
Well, the meteorologists with NOAA and the Climate Prediction Center who put together these forecasts look at several different tools. One, they look at the ENSO trends, the El Nino Southern Oscillation, whether we're coming into a La Nina or El Nino. And in this case, we've come out of a pretty strong El Nino, which we had last winter and contributed to some of the big snows we had late in the winter last season. And we're moving into probably a weak La Nina this season. And when you see that, the correlations are pretty strong that during La Nina winters, our winters are typically below normal in terms of precipitation and above normal temperature. So they look at that, but more and more they're relying on long-term climate models that are able to take these trends, use equations, and use some high-powered models to kind of meld the two together and see what's going to happen in the future. So it's a combination of numerical weather modeling and the ENSO trends.
Okay. Cool. You talked about El Nino and how that kind of contributed to some of our big snow events here in Blacksburg last year. Can you talk about maybe like what are normal snowfall values? Since a lot of people probably listening right now, that's the freshest event in their mind. What is a normal winter like here in Blacksburg?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question, considering that these winter weather forecasts from NOAA are based on near normal, above normal, or below normal. So normal for the New River Valley in terms of snow is about 24 inches a year, and that's looking at a 30-year average.
Okay. How do you get that number? Where does that number come from?
Yeah, that is a 30-year average of the climate site in the region. So we have 5 climate stations. Obviously, our office is one of them. So we look at the seasonal snowfall total over the past 30 years, add them up, divided by 30, and that's your official normal.
That's how you do it. And is that how the rest of this outlook is set up for all across the country, basically?
Yeah, when it's forecasting whether or not precipitation temperatures will be near, above, or below normal, it's looking at that 30-year normal period from 1980 through 2010.
Okay, cool. Let's see. So last year we had the 2 big snow events in January and February that made us a bit above average for the year. Are our numbers becoming big event based? Does that have, you talked about that climatological norm, how big an event like that, how does that change our norm?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And last year, there are 2 major events, the February 14th and 15th and the January 22nd and 23rd events. Those 2 events combined were 22 inches total, and our seasonal total was 25.6 inches. So that took up a big portion of the snowfall total last season. Whether or not this is the norm in terms of these unusually large snowfall totals, I don't think we can say that quite yet. If you look at the data and look at 24-hour snowfall records for Blacksburg, or since records have been taken here since 1952, it's interesting that 5 of the top 10 24-hour snowfall records were in the 1990s. Wow. None occurred from 2000 through 2009, and only 1 has occurred from 2010 to now. So these unusually large snowfall events, I can't say, the data doesn't suggest that they are becoming more common.
Too much.
Okay. February was a crazy year. You were just talking about February 14th being a big snow event, and then February 24th we had the tornado outbreak pretty much. So
yeah,
crazy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, but typically here in Blacksburg, winter happens late January through February, correct? That's typically when we see our stuff going on, right?
Right. I mean, meteorological winter is December, January, and February. But if you look at the months when the most snow typically falls, you're right. It's January and February.
Cool. We got to stop for a quick PSA break. Zach, you want to hit us up with that, man?
Yeah, every 2 seconds, a person in the United States needs blood. Do your part by giving blood at your local Red Cross blood drive. One donation can help save the lives of 3 human beings. Visit redcrossblood.org for more information and to find a blood drive near you.
Cool. Thanks, Zach.
Looks like we have our first tweet from
snap,
from Twitter. It's actually
Okay.
from James Morrow, who cannot be here today.
Surprise.
He says, "Yeah, sorry about that fall foliage error, Nick. That was on me. Always blaming Jamie, huh?"
Jamie. We love you, though. I appreciate you making the script for me this week, so I can't really complain too much. So jumping back into our topic, we're going to talk about the Farmer's Almanac now. And it put out a winter outlook. I don't know exactly when the Farmer's Almanac outlook came out. Does anyone know that off the top of their heads? Mm-hmm. No. Well, just in comparison, they've got... So basically, the entire northern half of the United States, except for the Pacific Northwest, is going to be super freezing cold and snowy. Like they use the word freezing cold, numbing cold, and ice cold. And then the southern half of the United States, penetrating cold, chilled to the bone, and wet. And then for California, Arizona, Utah, and Nevada, balmy and wet. So I have a problem with this. Most of all, I look at these words, and it's just really, it hurts me on a personal level. Obviously, I don't know. Does anyone know when the Farmer's Almanac was created? What went into that? Anybody know anything on that?
It's been a long time.
So I see this, and I know the science and the things that go into NOAA's forecast every year, and it's just like, how do we do that? But I know people that the Farmer's Almanac is gospel. Like, it's going to happen, you know?
Oh, yeah. This time of year, we probably get more calls at the Weather Service office about, hey, the Farmer's Almanac says this. What do you think?
Right, exactly. And it just blows my mind. Listen to NOAA and what they got going on. So fall and winter hazards here in Blacksburg. We're moving along pretty quick here today, but that's okay. What are the main hazards in our area during the fall and winter season?
Well, there are many, and we'll first start with the #1 storm-related killer in Virginia and in the United States, and we saw the catastrophic impacts from this in June of this year in Greenbrier County, with the 15 fatalities just in that county alone. That is flooding and flash flooding. Okay. Most floods and flash floods in our area occur in the late summer from June, July into August. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the climatology, there's a secondary peak in January when you have snow melt and rain falling on that snow melt. And it doesn't take as much rain to cause the flooding as it does in the summer. So there's that secondary peak in January. So I remind folks all the time, turn around, don't drown. We had a great initiative with Virginia Tech where they have put up turn around, don't drown signs at some of the low water crossings to help educate people about that hazard. This is the most preventable of all storm hazards because the majority of fatalities are people driving their vehicles into water-covered roads. It only takes about 18 inches of water that's moving at 5 to 10 miles an hour to sweep most vehicles off the road. The road may be weakened from the flowing water, so if you can't see the road, don't attempt to cross it. Turn around, don't drown. So that's a big hazard. Even in the winter, we need to be prepared for.
Be aware of that.
Even when all of the snowfall melts, we have a big issue with flooding.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It always blows my mind when I see people driving across flooded roadways. It again hurts me on a.
You see it every year.
Personally, yes. And what does that say about us as society and how crazy we are about we have to get to work, we have to get to job, we have to do this, do that. When we sacrifice our safety for that, and you said it's the most preventable thing.
It was heartbreaking. Look at the deaths with Matthew down in eastern North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Majority of those were people who drove through water-covered roads. And in many cases, from what I read, the barricades were up saying, do not drive across this water-covered road. And people ignored that and still attempted to cross that water-covered road.
Now, what is the how many inches or feet of water of running water does it take to push a car?
I think it's 2 feet. Is that right?
Yeah, some of the studies I've seen now is 18 inches,
18
a foot and
inches.
a half. If it's 5 to 10 miles an hour, can sweep a vehicle off the road. And it only takes 6 inches of water to sweep a human off the road. And tragically, we saw in the late 2000s a child in Allegheny County, Virginia, pass away when she played in a culvert after a heavy rain event. So even if you're walking out and around campus, if you see water flowing, avoid it.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
I
So
think our professor, Dave Carroll on campus, he had a really good way of describing why people might, go around, go through a flooded roadway rather than going around the long way. Say, you have the example of you're trying to get home to watch the fourth quarter of the Hokies or
it could be anything.
And the one roadway that you're going down has this little tiny bridge that water's flowing over top of it. So you have a flooded roadway. And the other route that you have to take is a 15 to 20 minute around the pond, over a major bridge, under a cave, all kinds of crazy stuff. Just, how many people would just be like, "Ow, risk it," just to go and see the end of the fourth quarter,
exactly.
or anything.
Yeah, and familiarity is another thing. I mean, you drive that road every day. You've always made it through. Why would this time be any different?
Exactly.
We're kind of hardwired into doing things as we've always done, and it takes a conscientious effort to recognize that hazard and say, I've got to make a change and do something different, even if it takes me longer to get there. It's better to get there late than not to get there at all.
Right.
I agree.
So Phil, I know I've heard you do the spotter course for the National Weather Service, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've taken that class, and I think, have you all?
Yep.
You talk about flooding a lot in that class. Obviously, don't turn around, don't drown is a big thing from the National Weather Service. What else are you all trying to do to maybe help stem or educate more people about flooding?
Well, definitely, we're trying to develop partnerships. We have this Weather Ready Nation Ambassador Initiative because we're a staff of 24 people,
Right.
and we cannot get out the word to everybody. We need that help. So we have broadcast partners as well as partners in business like insurance companies, other companies who look at these type of things. And we're asking them to help broadcast our messages of weather preparedness. So we have the Weather Ready Nation Ambassador Program where materials are sent to them quarterly to help get the word out to others about these hazards.
Okay. That's awesome.
I personally really enjoyed that spotter class.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
So much fun. I'm
Highly
actually
recommend
just do it again just for fun.
And now the great thing now is you don't have to wait for a class to come to you. We've now made the training available online.
Oh, wow.
So you go to the Weather
That's
Service
awesome.
website and you can take the training there.
Are you still doing the ones that you go to personally?
We do during the spring. We've kind of contracted those to 10 a year in various areas. But yes, we still do the in-person classes.
Okay, very cool.
Could you, since we're on this topic, can you talk about exactly what that is, what you go and you do at the class?
Oh, sure. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
The Skywarn program gives us ground truth information to tell us what's happening under the storms we're monitoring on radar and satellite. And that information is so valuable. Working with social scientists, we know that when the Weather Service issues a warning, there will be some people that will take action, but the large majority of people will not. So we need to find out what is it going to take to get people to take the appropriate actions for the hazards that are about to impact them. And one of the things that social scientists have found is that ground truth information really motivates people to go where they need to go. So having that real-time ground truth information underneath the storm from Skywarn spotters, and we have over 2,000 of them, actually 2,400 of them across our 40-county warning area, who can provide us with that information, whether it's through social media, a phone call, email, to let us know what's happening. We can turn that information around. And so somebody in Blacksburg who is monitoring weather conditions and hears, oh, there's a a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for my area. But when they hear that there is storm damage in Christiansburg and this storm is moving toward their area, there are trees down, maybe some structural damage, that really grabs their attention.
To take notice.
Yeah, so the Skywarn classes, we go into the community and they're open to anyone 16 years of age or older. And you go through about a 2-hour class, learn how to read the sky. We show different types of storms and the cloud features associated with them so you can better anticipate what type of weather will be arriving with that storm. We have a short quiz just to reinforce those principles. But most importantly, we talk about how to get weather information that you are seeing to the National Weather Service in near real time. That's the most important aspect of the Skywarn program. And we try to make it fun as well, fun and entertaining. And if you're not working in law enforcement or in the medical community, it really could be the closest you come to saving somebody's life, because that report may be what it gets to motivate somebody to leave their car and get into a sturdy shelter away from downed trees.
That's amazing. So it sounds like this program is very vital to you all at the National Weather Service.
Yeah, the Skywarn program has been around since the 1950s, I believe, and it's been very successful. And even with all the modern technology that we have, you still can't beat that ground truth information.
That's amazing.
When people are seeing and actually identifying these different features from this class, they can send in different things to the Weather Service, because I feel like a visual representation of what is going to be actually going on the ground at that current time will be much more of a deterrent or a motivator for people to get up and get into a safer location.
Right, of course.
Yeah, that's been great with the advent of social media. We were a little late in the social media game, but now having Twitter and Facebook to see those images of the damage or the cloud features like the wall cloud, which sometimes is a precursor to a tornado, can help us get the warnings out earlier.
I agree. I was working as the National Weather Service volunteer position over the summer, and I was there during the Greenbrier event. So having that immediate access to what's going on in Greenbrier, because we don't know exactly what's going on there. We have radar estimated rain and all that jazz, but it's really interesting to see how Twitter can really impact what you guys do and what kind of warnings you guys put out.
Yeah, and the partnership we have with the Virginia Tech Meteorology program, I think that event you brought up is a great example. Our resources were stretched thin. Not only did we have the catastrophic flooding, but we had a significant severe weather event. We had hailstones greater than baseball size that day, which is very rare for this area. So we had a portion of our staff focused on the severe aspect, and another portion obviously focused on the flooding aspect. And it was very difficult to find resources to find out what exactly was happening under the storms we were monitoring. And that's where you guys were such a big help. To be able to call spotters or mine social media to find that information for us. So just another great example of how that partnership has benefited us.
It was a crazy event. I think that was my second day volunteering. And they're like, "Can you put out an LSR?" And I'm like, "Wait, what's that?" I have no idea what you're talking about.
And it went out flawlessly.
Yeah, it went well. It's amazing to see the inner workings of the National Weather Service, and the jobs that you guys do is incredible and saves many people's lives.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and when I tell people I'm a meteorologist at these presentations, whether the Skywarn presentations or civic organization presentations, usually the first question I get is what TV station do you work for?
Every time.
They wouldn't put my face on television.
Just goes to show you that our field is much broader than people tend to realize. So these Skywarn reports, how often do you all use them in verification of events?
Oh, we use every report. As you mentioned, when we get that report, we immediately send it out in a product called a local storm report, LSR. And the feedback we've got from our broadcast meteorologist partners is that information is gold. It's very valuable to let them know what's happening underneath the storm, so they can relay that to their viewers so they have a better understanding of what happened. But what a lot of people don't realize is that every report that comes into our office goes into a publication called Storm Data, which is really the history of all severe weather in the United States. And it goes back to 1950.
That's amazing.
So if you want to look at any hailstone that has fallen in Montgomery County since 1950, you can go to the Storm Data website and query that, and that information, by and large, comes from Skywarn spotters. So when researchers are saying, well, are we seeing an increase in the number of tornadoes in a specific area, that's the source they use. What's the largest hailstone ever to fall? That's the source they use. So every report is used in some capacity.
That's awesome. I did not realize that. It's really, really cool. We went really off topic, but it's totally...
I can bring us back on topic here with,
go for it.
With Jamie
with
another tweet coming in.
Isn't he supposed to be working right now?
I think he
read my mind.
He says, time to put you guys on the spot. How much snow for Blacksburg this year? I'm going with 18 inches, is what Jamie says.
Ugh.
Well, I'll go for it.
Go for it.
I'm not going to argue with Jamie on that because I do think that it's going to be below the normal of 24 inches. I mean, you look at the weak La Nina that's developing, and I went back and looked at some of the past seasons that are comparable to the season we're entering. I looked at periods where we had a strong El Nino exiting out of that into ENSO neutral and eventually weak La Nina. And some of the years that are strong analogs are 82, 83. That was a well below normal snowfall and precipitation season for the area. And there's another one that escapes me in the mid-90s that was below normal as well. So the past trends where we are coming out of El Nino into a weak La Nina suggest below normal and yeah, I'm not going to put out a specific amount, but I would go under 24 inches, and 18 seems reasonable.
That sounds about right to me. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Hopefully, we'll be right back here on Hokie Weather Watch Live in WVT FM Blacksburg.
I don't wanna live without your love. I had let it go to waste. I don't wanna live without your love. Drag it to an open window, shred it in a million pieces. I don't wanna live without your love. Funny how we do it out. Everything we trade away. Only in November when it's cold do we miss the warmth. Every wound ever open, every man ever see you. Should take advantage of the summer. 'Cause if you're alone, how can I save you? I'll find a way to make your love more complicated. What if I could change, if you could save me? So find a way to miss 1,000 times. 'Cause I don't wanna live without your love. Oh, I'll tell you what you wanna hear. What you want is incomplete. I don't wanna live without your love. I don't mind how much it changes. I can look the other way. I seem to remember how it felt to be crushed by something. Walk until you see no water, just in case it disappears. Take advantage of the sun. 'Cause if you're alone, how can I save you? I'll find a way to make your love more complicated. What if I could change, if you could save me? So find a way to miss 1,000 times. I would just sit in my car, listening to distant alarms go. They seem far, so far, so. Feeling the weight of the world, nothing compared to the long road. It seems hard, so. And I would just sit in my car, listening to distant alarms go. They seem far, so. I'm feeling the weight of the world, it's nothing compared to the long road. It seems hard, so hard. 'Cause if you're alone, how can I save you? I'll find a way to make your love more complicated. What if I could change, if you could save me? So find a way to miss 1,000 times.
Welcome back to Hokie Weather Watch Live on WVT FM 90.7 Blacksburg. So we were talking about everything from winter weather to stuff at the National Weather Service. So I just want to go back real quick. Phil, what is the best way to prepare for the winter season now? What can we do now?
Yeah, right now I think the best thing we can do is have an emergency supply kit for our vehicle and for our homes. And these kits should contain things like flashlights, extra blankets, cell phone chargers, make sure unperishable foods that can be eaten without refrigeration, of course a weather radio, a hand-cranked weather radio, things of that nature. Always check the forecast before you leave. We know in this area the weather can change dramatically in just a short period, so make sure you do that. You mentioned, Dave Carroll. He tells a story during the blizzard of 1993 that occurred in March.
Storm.
93 storm, which people still talk about. Students from Virginia Tech were coming back from spring break in Florida wearing their shorts and flip-flops and short-sleeve shirts. And Interstate 77 was closed due to snow drifts of 3 to 4 feet, and there they were stranded on the interstate with the shorts and T-shirt. Obviously not appropriate attire for those bone-chilling wind chills and snow. So make sure you check the forecast before you go. Now, all these things may seem a little overwhelming at once, but if you get one item a week or every 2 weeks, then it's not as overwhelming and you have everything that you need. And probably the most important thing is make sure you have a gallon of water per person per day in your household.
Okay. Thank you for that. We are going to jump into our next topic now, and that's going to be talking about the National Weather Service's Open House. Phil, when is the Open House again?
We're excited. This Saturday, October 29th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Awesome. What is the target audience for this event?
Oh, anybody. We are going to have exhibits for children. It doesn't matter the age. If you're interested in weather, we'd love to have you visit.
Okay. So what type of events will be offered here at the Open House?
Well, we're going to have some outdoor vendors, including big snow plows from VDOT. Of course, VT Meteorology Club will be there. The Hokie Storm Chasers, the Storm Chase vehicle will be there. That's always a big hit with visitors. The Red Cross will be providing preparedness materials. For those interested in communications, we'll have a communication trailer from one of our amateur radio volunteers to see how that communication system works. And then inside the Weather Service, we'll show you the computer systems we use to create forecasts and warnings. And we will also, every hour, have balloon launches.
Oh, wow.
So you can see how that is done.
Okay.
Wow, every hour. That's
Every
really
hour.
Cool.
Yeah, now, it's not the real balloons that we use.
I was going to say.
It's
That's
not
a lot of money.
it's a mock balloon launch, but still very exciting.
Okay.
So we have like party balloon, blowing it up a little bit with a little cardboard
Yes.
Radio
song going up.
Yes, that some Virginia
liked
Tech
it.
students have put together, and they look very realistic.
Very neat. All right, cool.
Sweet. Let's see. We covered when is the event going to be held. Where can people find more information about it?
More information is on our website, weather.gov/Blacksburg, or our social media accounts, Facebook, NWS Blacksburg, or Twitter @NWS Blacksburg.
Okay, cool. Let's see. I think we've covered everything today. Phil, is there anything else you want to add on anything that we've talked about today?
Just like to add, I hope everybody has a means. I'm sure your guest next week will talk more about this,
yes.
but I hope everybody has a means to receive weather warnings. When I go, one of my another aspect of my job is I survey storm damage, and I find that so many people were not aware of warnings that were issued prior to a significant weather event. We can issue the most accurate forecast, the best warnings, but they're meaningless if they're not received or understood. So please consider having multiple ways to receive weather warnings, whether it's a weather radio, a cell phone app, even an AM/FM radio, just a way to get weather information around the clock, especially if you're traveling as well. So I hope everyone would consider that.
Okay. I feel like that's really vital. People don't often worry about the weather unless it's directly impacting them at the time, and as we mentioned before, it's too late to do anything about it when it's occurring. So it's so important to stay on top of things. All right. What would be a weather show without a weekly forecast? Aaron, what's up, man?
All right, so the beginning of the work week actually looks to be pretty nice comparatively to today. Actually, we have beautiful sunny skies, highs in the mid to lower 60s all the way through Wednesday night, actually.
Okay, nice.
So that's pretty nice. We're going to have lower temperatures, kind of like around like mid-30s or so, kind of flirting with that first frost kind of area.
Okay.
But Thursday, we're going to have an approaching cold front. That'll be bringing a chance of rain throughout the day. So if you're traveling to the Virginia Tech Pitt game that's going to be on Thursday, yes, we do have another Thursday night game.
Heck yeah.
Week, back-to-back weeks. So this one will be in
Hopefully
Pitt.
we can break the curse.
I hope so. So we'll be back in Pittsburgh. The game time high you can expect to be around 55 degrees, so pretty chilly. And kind of around the time where the game's going to be letting out, it's going to be mid to low 40s. So you're gonna make sure you're gonna bring a rain jacket because there's gonna be a chance of rain throughout the entire game. And make sure you bundle up, bring a rain jacket, and also make sure you bring your Hokie spirit because they will need
Can't forget
it. that. So cold temperatures and clear weather will be back in the forecast to end the work week with high temperatures in the low 60s and then the lows dipping down to around 40 degrees.
So it sounds like a pretty nice fall-like week.
Yeah,
So
we're getting there.
get out and enjoy it while you can. So next week here on Hokie Weather Watch Live, we're going to have Jen Henderson. And Jen she takes the social science and the meteorology and she masters it all up. And I am so excited for her to be here. It's going to be a great show. Please be here next week to join us to see Jen. It's going to be great. I just butchered all of that, but it's fine.
It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be great. Anything else on Twitter? Anybody? Jamie?
Let's see. Let's get one last look here. Nope, I think we're good. Just wanted to throw it out there. We actually did respond and have a collaborative forecast for him as well. We said, discussing it over with our panelists, we are going to go with a collaborative 17 inches. Hashtag the price is right style.
I'm sure he appreciated that. Shout out to you, Jamie, if you're listening right now. Okay, I think that's everything. Anybody want to add something before we sign off today?
I think we're good.
Think we're good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Zach, can you tell them one more time how to...
Oh, yeah. So for next week's show, you can join the conversation with using the hashtag on Twitter, hashtag HokieWX.
Okay.
And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram using HokieWXWatch. And then you can also tell us how we're doing on Twitter at WUVTFM.
Cool. All right.